Yes, well, this is our little moment. Let me see. I have to stick to the 20 minutes. Right. Okay. So I introduced ourselves the first day very briefly as being a dance company from France, which lives and works in the southwest of Toulouse. Here in the room is Anne Hose, the other choreographer. The company indeed is dealing and has been dealing for many years with this attempt to co-write, to find a hybrid way of co-writing both a contemporary dancing body and electronic media based. Started from many old sort of more analog technology all the way to what we could consider a bit more sophisticated nowadays, which is the real-time interactive one, and sending out also some little arrows towards some more futuristic work. So what I'm going to do basically is just say in a few words what the company is, as a brief presentation. In a few words also put forward this intention of ours constantly, which has been at the foundation of the very body of work that we have developed, which is try to be as meaningful as possible within the development of choreography writing as far as the use of technology. Launching a few sort of points in terms of the cadence and Metabody, with Metabody. And finally, putting up just a little sort of dotted points on ideas to come, which we have almost touched this morning when we were talking about the final sort of amorphous structure to become something tangible as a final outcome for the Metabody project. So basically, our activities is grounded on performance making, on one hand. We develop the work basically on a constant sort of back and forth dialectics between the physical body, as seen, perceived, lived, and the visual body, which can be either seen, virtualized, and so on, with a strong attention to human relationships, to psychological structures in relationships, well, etc. The social construction of the body. That's at the heart of the work that we attempt to do when we make these two big disciplines meet. Besides that, there's a large body of mediation that we do by teaching, not through much traditional academic teaching, but a lot of work that we implement through creative workshops with audiences going from really the kindergarten to university students. The research aspect involves both on the level of the concept making of new work, the level of also research on the movement material, composition, devising structures for improvisation, and then writing through the improvisation composition, more established composition, and also connections with the research done in collaborations with either technicians, artists, but also institutions like one in Toulouse that we collaborate with that deals with cognitive sciences. It's called the IRIT, Institute of Research at the University of Paul-Sabatier. And finally, the fourth aspect, which is what has brought also some great interest in the Metabody project, is the collaborative aspect. We thrive a lot on that, even though Anne and myself are kind of like the two pillars somehow of the choreographic structure. We thrive on collaborations, on exchanges, on the level of other people, other cultures, other disciplines. Therefore, is what obviously brings us with great pleasure into the Metabody project. Besides that, I have to be a bit shorter. Just this is a list of a series of late and recent pieces we have developed. I don't know if the blue part is seen very clearly. They are the titles of the pieces. The first one is The Tiger's Bride, the most recent one, illegible. So we are on our big theoretical comfortable cloud. I mean, not that comfortable. The Tiger's Bride, as an example, is a rewritten dance version of the rewriting by Angela Carter of the famous tale of the Beast and the Beauty. So in which we have, it's an example in which we try to find both some sort of content and meaning that can touch wide audiences because of this connection with a super well-known tale, but also at the same time kind of reversing, in this case, the feminist rewriting of the tale, and devising, as we proceed in the concept and the writing of a piece like that, seeing how the technology makes perfect sense, or as much of a perfect sense as possible. In this case, we saw it as very useful, the use of tactile technology, by implementing in the costume of the dancers what allows them to, in real time, transform, manipulate, generate both the sound and the lights when they touch. All of that depending on the quality and the various modes of qualities of touching. So on and so forth. So I'm not going to just give you the list. In white you see the different types of technologies that we've been using. Each time they open up collaborations with artists, with developers, and so on and so forth, but with the idea of always trying to make a connection between the poetics and the politics. So let me show you now just what I mostly want to concentrate is to show you just 3 short examples, 3 very short, brief little videos of 3 different pieces. The first one, CoOp, I chose to present you a few minutes of it because it was specifically constructed around, or at least informed by Foucault's invention of the prison, that deals with the issues of discipline, the docile body, the partition of time and space, and the panopticon, and in its various forms that we have already talked about, including the bio-body control. In this piece, for example, the dancer, Yoko Yamada, is equipped with a series of sensors, body sensors, which not only are tracking the geometry of her movements, but also her breathing. And the physiological sensors, in fact, are in a very mean way composed so that the more she moves, the more the systems gets back at her with the presence of the sound and the visuals. In other words, it has been programmed with some loops of artificial intelligence, so to speak, or neural networks, so that she has a harder time to get out of the system. And we attach the idea of the holding of the breathing as a possibility to escape. So it's a dark piece. But there are. So here it is, just a little excerpt. If we can put up the sound. Do you have the sound? Wait. Do you have the sound up? Because there's no sound. Is it there? I don't know if the sound is connected. It's hooked, but maybe the volume here it's. Oh, okay. Is it possible also to turn off the lights so that we can see the video in slightly better condition? But maybe it has to be turned off from the downstairs, isn't it? For the lights. I try again? No. ¿Hay posibilidad para subir el sonido? O? It's a bit of a shame without the sound, obviously. So for this piece, we commissioned the production of the music by inviting a composer, Robert Cohen, to really compose the music within the patch writing that drives it all, and the collaboration also with the visuals and the senses was done by an artist who develops a lot of interesting work called Yvan Chabanot. Yes?
While we're waiting, maybe I can ask a question.
Sure.
So one of the most attractive aspects of using technology for me is that it allows a small gesture to amplify. Right? So I can blink my eyes and make a large sound or whatever. Small becomes large. Maybe say something about the things that attract you about working with technology.
The sound is working okay? Oh no, it's another question. Okay. So we wait. Let's try. Yeah, but I'll have to disconnect, obviously. Okay. Let's see how it goes.
It works now.
We'll get back at your question, Robert. So this, in this particular piece, Parasite, let's say the challenge was to meet together this attempt to transcribe through choreography an important sort of political issue by making the dancer being looped inside of a system which responds to her own personal behavior and movement as much as she goes through the piece, with a glimpse of an idea, because we like to work on different levels of readings, this sort of transformation of the dying black swan at the end. Another example which I would like to show quickly, it's of a more recent piece called Tactile Sensations. The same sort of system we have previously used for the Tiger's Bride I was describing earlier. Tactile Sensations has been developed with a duet called Scénocosme. It's a couple of young artists who develop a lot of very sensitive installations where the computer itself, computer matter is used in a very sensitive, in a very poetic way. And we had devised this idea of, from a previous installation where they do use the touch, to see how we can implement that in a dance piece, which by itself choreographs, stages the synesthesia of touch in its many different levels. You will not see, of course, this is going to be a 2-minute excerpt of a long piece, which is 50 minutes long. But the idea was to devise inside of that whole piece a set of, let's say, an architecture of relationships that are incarnated by these two young dancers, the male and female, in which the touch not only triggers changes after the music, but what we were interested, and it's somehow a question to your answer, Robert, is how the quality of touch was connected with different ways of interacting between the two people. So we're very attached not only to the capturing of subtleties in the movement itself, but also how in the relationship of two people, the many different facets, qualities of connection can themselves unveil something which is in the realm of the invisible, which is one of the ideas behind the augmentation of what's happening through the use of technology. In this case, it's a tactile. We're going to try if the sounder works this time. No. Okay. So we start again with the same. Okay. Microphone on the speaker. The people who have made the music would not like that at all. But they're not in the room, so I won't tell. Tactile sensations. Tactile sensations is in a circular space. It offers the possibility for the audience to perceive, to experience the performance from many different angles. Okay. So this was a short, very short excerpt, in which, as you could see, of course, the piece in its totality contains many different facets of this sort of relational exchange of agencies between her and him. We were also interested in like I said earlier, investigating how, away from sort of an ocular centrism, since we had been working a lot with imagery, at one point it was interesting to just focus on just the connection between the touch, the sound, and the lights, as a way to sort of augment this deep perception of what remains somehow invisible and offer the possibility for the audience to perceive it. The last and third excerpt I wanted to show, it's a piece which is just from 2009, but which I think is somehow interesting in the context of the triggering of ideas. It's a piece called Echo Room. Echo Room is another duet. Well, we've been working a lot on duets these last years, which was based on the following concept. It was to offer the audience the possibility to split the choreographic space into 3 rooms. In the first room, the audience is invited to attend the physical performance of the 2 dancers, per se, as such. In another location in the building, in the different buildings where the piece was performed, what was proposed was some sort of translation through sound and music of just only the signals coming from the sensors that they are equipped with. In this case, they are equipped with just physiological sensors measuring the breathing, the heartbeat, and the muscular tension. Those sensors were chosen in particular because they were in connection with the psychological structures that are embedded in the composition of the dance of the 2 people. And in the third space, we proposed some sort of another level of reading of what's happening in flesh and bone between the 2 bodies, using sort of more figurative material, both in terms of music and in terms of images, in connections with cinematography and video. So you had like 3 simultaneous levels of reading of the same reality. That was the proposal. The audience is invited to travel in between the places. So the little excerpt I'm going to show was done in a piece where the audience was able to attend at the same time the first and second space, because of the visuals and the sound being kind of like in the same sort of cone of vision, whereas the sonification and visualization of the physiological sounds were in another sort of room leading into the one we see the main action. And people are invited to either look, not look, walk around, walk in or walk away. Echo Room, just a short excerpt. Here we go, the microphone. A little exercise in French, a little bit away from the imperial language. Time is running short for me. I would have had plenty of things to say, but I guess we'll have other opportunities. As far as the artistic approach involved in the attempt to be as meaningful as possible in the use of media, our connection with the Metabody, both on the level of the critical approach, but also in terms of questionings of this kind of sort of fine relationship between poetics and politics, which we're kind of attached to. And of course, within the development of a lot of more of the concrete things within the Metabody project is implement and bring in our expertise in this knowledge of the core writing of this dialectics between intentions, maps of intentions and compositions for movement, which not only use improvisation but also real scoring, complete scoring of movement, sorry, together with a few little bits of ideas that I've just been having the pleasure to throw inside of the let's say the final outcome of what things will be in the Metabody project is to put in an idea that somehow when two people interact, I'll finish with that, when two people interact, I like this idea of something existing on the level of an infra-thin surface in between two people when they interact, which could be eventually taken as somehow a concept for architecture. Let's say we could imagine that what is in between two bodies within their interaction, it's some sort of fragile architecture we can visualize, materialize with whatever we can imagine, lights, smoke, like I said yesterday, water, feathers. So, and to continue, well, I would have liked to say a lot more, but things are like that. Welcome to the next person, and whatever ideas, questions are around the heads or the bodies of anyone, we're welcome to share with you. It's a different and difficult thing to show dance through videos, but it's all open.
Thank you.